Hey, everybody. So, this is not my normal time, and I really wasn't planning on doing this tonight. I just slapped this up because you know what? I wanted to hang out with y'all. It's been a crazy day, and I have not gotten the opportunity to catch up on what is going on with the Diddy trial today. I've had a lot of errands that I needed to run. I'll run it down to you guys after we get through the meat and potatoes of what I actually want to get into. For anybody who's interested in my daily life or whatever you want to call what today was. But I wanted to get into this. I needed to do some research, and I figured that what could be cool is if I did this with you guys, man. Normally I come in informed. Let's learn together. I have a video queued where we could check it out and we can all like give our responses and we could talk about this and we could just chunk this out as a community. So, this is going to be a little bit different because normally I have done some sort of research. I didn't have any time to do any research today, but I figured since I need to do some research anyway, let's look into this all as a family, homie. I love you guys and I'm super stoked, man. 300 people jumped in. This isn't my usual time. I didn't plan this. I didn't advertise it, bro. Thank you, each and every one of you who jumped in. I super appreciate you guys, man. I didn't even announce this to my mods because most of my mods are in time zones that are way different and it's like late for them. And I didn't want them to feel like they were stuck or were obligated to come do this. So you know what? I just really appreciate you guys being willing to hang out, man. There's so many beautiful people in the chat and I love this community. You guys, literally when I'm having a bad day, like I had a bad day today. And we'll talk about that later. But when I have a bad day, I come and I hang out with you guys. And honestly, you guys are great. You guys are great. You guys always make me feel better. You guys are great for my mental health, which is, just generally a shit show. But thank you so much for being here. I appreciate the hell out of all y'all beautiful people. So look, man, we're going to jump into this. I want to check out this video with you guys and let's talk about it. Yo, that's what I'm saying, James. It's 3:30 a.m. in the UK. I didn't want any of our UK mods to feel obligated. So I just didn't even say nothing, man. I figured we're all adults here. Backwoods, what's up, man? Damn, dude. It's late here, 10:30. Yeah, it's 7:30 where I'm at. So thank you guys for hanging out with me on a random time. Let's jump in and check some of this out, shall we? Here we go. We're going to Diddy land. Oh, that's not... breakdown of the day.
Back to Behind the Bar, day 7 of the Diddy trial. So much happened today. Cassie took the stand for a second full day of direct testimony.
So look, you guys, like when he says day 7, he's also including those days last week where they did the whole jury selection thing and everything. We're really like 3 days into the actual meat and potatoes. The 3 days into the actual, opening statements and all of that. The Maple Leaf Lover, what's up, my Canadian homie? Hey, JD, sending love from Canada. Love the content. Glad I finally made a live. Hope you're having a great day. Well, Maple Leaf Lover, I'm having a bad day until I jumped on here and so many people jumped in here. Dr. Dre Light, thank you for showing up. We do have a mod, y'all. I didn't know if we would have a mod, but I'm so happy. Thank you so much for being here, brother. I didn't want to bother anyone with this because I know it's late where you're at, bro. So let's talk about this.
Testimony being she was asked questions by the prosecution for another full day. The defense is going to get their chance to cross-examine her starting tomorrow. Today, for the prosecution, was all about connections of Diddy to the freak-offs and of the power that he allegedly held over her. As part of that, what the defense is trying to set up is some sort of an argument that she in some way consented. She could have left at any time. That's what the defense is saying. There were a lot of comments yesterday saying that Derek and I were somehow signing on to this idea that a woman who continues to go back to an abusive boyfriend is somehow consenting. Not at all the case. As a matter of fact,
yeah, because that would be some scumbag ass shit to say, to be honest. I know a lot of girls and guys who've been in abusive relationships, and it's a cycle that's really easy to get stuck in. Now, there is a point at which you are responsible to make the hard decision and get yourself out. But when you think about this situation with Cassie, she was scared for her physical well-being. Diddy went around and threatened any dude she talked to. He allegedly blew up Kid Cudi's car. Her career was entirely stuck on Diddy, and he got her, from her testimony, strung out on drugs. So, I mean, there's a lot more that goes behind that. So I'm glad that he made that clarification, because I know a lot of people have been talking about that. Somebody asked how long this trial is supposed to be. They're anticipating, they have blocked out 8 weeks for it. And it could go longer than that. It could be shorter than that. But this is the second day of Cassie testimony, and Cassie's the key witness here. Cassie's like the coup de grace of this whole situation. Bye, Felicia. We love you, sis. Glad to have you here. So let's jump back in.
There's a ton of scientific literature out there that suggests just the opposite, that frequently a woman who's a victim of domestic violence, of this kind of violence, of sexual violence, will nevertheless stay with her abuser through some sort of an emotional attachment to that person, despite the fact that they are not consenting to the activity at all. We're simply doing what we're doing here is laying out what the prosecution is going to say and laying out what the defense is going to say, because the defense, again, Derek, just needs that one witness. That was
He's right that they do just need that one witness, and what they're going for is reasonable doubt. And reasonable doubt in a case like this that's the real deal. All you need is somebody to have a reasonable doubt that she consented. But I think that they're going to bring in experts, psychologists, experts that are trauma informed, to explain to the jury the effects of trauma and domestic violence and, substance dependence. The whole gamut is going to be explained to this jury. And have you guys ever heard of Stockholm Syndrome? So there's this thing when people get kidnapped or they're stuck in situations where they're brutally abused, where they will actually, there's a whole syndrome that happens to people where they end up feeling attachment to their abuser, which is, it's crazy. It seems like it would go against everything. Oh my God. Yo, up X5 podcast, Pop Culture Unpacked. Yo, thank you so much, Charlie. I love you, bro. It's so good to see you. Hey, I know you can't see it because of the mic, but look what I'll be wearing today, bro. It's been a bad day, man. You just came in clutch, bro, and made this a whole lot better of a day, man. I appreciate you.
Hi, Charlie. Upstairs to say hi. Thank you.
Jax ran all the way up the stairs when she heard me talking to you, brother. We love you guys so much. So X5 Podcast said, there's my favorite peeps. Hope you and Had, probably her, are doing well, brother. We miss y'all. Let's catch up soon. Charlie, if we don't catch up soon, bro, it's going to hurt my last feeling. It's my last feeling, bro, because I'm not hungry and I'm not tired right now. My only feeling is that I miss you, so we better catch up soon. I love you so much, bro. Thank you. And HGV said, please do a short on the Canadian sex offender Stetson outlaw Nicholas Schulten. Police have allowed this repeat offender way too much leniency, and he needs the wood chipper. I'm going to look into that, homie. I'm definitely going to look into that. And again, bro, Charlie, love you, bro. Hey, those new music drops are amazing. I'm loving it. So as we were talking about with this Diddy thing, man, like there's literally 100% of psychology behind a thing like Stockholm Syndrome. And if you haven't been abused or traumatized in a serious way, I understand that that's hard to grasp, why somebody would grow an attachment to their abuser. But it is a real life thing. And until you've been there, it's best not to judge it. Stockholm Syndrome, exactly. Waiting Nate said it right there. Anthony Gavassos, that cross you wear is cool. I didn't know you were religious. Speaking of that, I just got back from a hike with my church group. Anthony, that's amazing. I love hiking. I don't get a chance to do it enough. This was actually a gift from my good friend Charlie from the X5 podcast. And it's probably the nicest piece of jewelry I will own in my lifetime, man. And I wear it on days when things are a little rough. And to be honest with you, it makes me feel a lot better, bro. It really does. It comes in clutch, bro.
Sorry, that one juror who thinks like a troglodyte and says, well, she could have left at any time. And
that's one of my favorite words, bro. I used to call tweakers that didn't know how to act troglodytes. It's fucked up because a lot of them were my customers. And I'd be like, you're a troglodyte. I love that, bro. That's like a Cro-Mag. For those of you who don't know, that's like a Cro-Magnon caveman-esque. Basically, it's saying that your brain is underdeveloped and you have a diminished mental capacity.
The fact she didn't leave, didn't go to the police, makes her a willing participant in all this and therefore not guilty.
That's right. And we're trying to be balanced in our approach. We're telling you what the prosecutors need to establish to prove the elements of the offenses that they've charged Diddy with. But we're also going to tell you how the defense plans to poke holes in that theory. And in doing so, there's no endorsement one way or another. The prosecution has the burden. That's just the way criminal trials work. And Diddy's team only needs to convince one juror to say, well, you didn't prove that element, and he gets a mistrial and he's off the hook if he proves.
So here's the thing, is that they're saying that they're just going to objectively report on this. I do want to point out that they are a TMZ show. And Mark Garagos, who is strongly in the Diddy defense team, has a show with one of their other anchors there. So I would question how objective they could actually be. And I want to actually see them be objective, because it seems to me like they would have a vested interest in swaying the narrative a little bit, since somebody who is so strongly tied in with their organization at TMZ is also basically on Diddy's defense team. That's crazy, bro. Like it's a little bit crazy. I don't know exactly how much I trust anything that they're going to come up with. Computer Rodeo LLC said, JD and Jax, awesome. Cool to catch you live. Wood Chipper, yo, thank you so much for being here with us, homie. And Alex, what is up, my man? The other inmates have decided Diddy's punishment is to not be wallered out by Big Country daily. He's now on deletion watch. Yeah, bro, I don't think he'd mind getting wallered out. Travel Junkies United said it perfect. Yeah, thank you for reminding me of the name of that podcast. It is the Two Angry Men podcast with Harvey and Mark. And Mark is part of Diddy's team, bro. Like, if you're part of Diddy's team, and you're working with people, I question how real and objective those people are going to be. Thank you for telling me to turn up the volume. I'm assuming when you say turn up the volume, did you mean on the video or on the JD himself? Because I can do both, I believe. And I've adjusted the volume on the video.
If he convinces all of them, he's acquitted. So we're trying to lay out how this will play out without any sort of thumb on the scale in one direction.
Both, got it.
As balanced as we're trying to be. The
Thank you.
testimony today by Cassie was some of the most damning trial testimony I have ever heard in all the trials that we've been following.
This is what I wanted, bro. This right here is what I wanted. I wanted to hear about Cassie's stuff. Now, I do really quickly want to point up. Thank you. I will turn me down a little bit, Ligma. Thank you. I do want to point out that Diddy just today got hit with another lawsuit, and it is by a woman who claims that he hard-R'd her. For those of you who don't know, there is a word that rhymes with grape that they don't like you to say on here, so sometimes I call it the hard R. And I know there's other words that we be talking about. We be saying, yo, that hard R means something else. Well, I don't ever say that word, so that doesn't need to be a part of my vocabularian. So I used it for something else. But she said, and this is the most insane thing that I've ever seen in a legal document, but this lawsuit said that Diddy's penis is the size and shape of a Tootsie Roll, and that she was in fear, like much greater fear, until he dropped his drawers. And when she saw the size of his penis, she knew it wasn't going to be that bad. She knew it wasn't going to hurt as bad as she was expecting. And that it wasn't that bad because Diddy has a very small penis. Can you imagine that being in court paperwork? Dog, I would die. Anthony, dude, thank you so much, homeboy. I heard of a guy who got a hotel for a girl and thought she was an adult. It wasn't until after the fact that she said she was actually 15. This is what he said. What do you think about the guy's situation if they didn't know? So a lot of people who catch these types of charges will say that shit. They will say that shit. They will use any excuse. I always am very skeptical of that. But if a guy doesn't know, I mean, bro, like, I mean, It depends on his age, bro. Because honestly, like, I feel like you should know if you're with a 15-year-old or not. I think that has sketchy written all over it, my guy. You know what I'm saying? And there's never been a sex offender who didn't have some excuse. I didn't know she was only 9 years old. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was a setup. Her mom was mad because I wouldn't give her money, and I was changing the diaper and my finger slipped. They've always got some dumb shit to say, bro. So I've learned not to believe them. Alex said, "What do you think about the ABDLs?" Sounds like an excuse to claim they're not chomos because the kids aren't technically naked or being SA'd. I don't know what an ABDL is. Can somebody inform me about that? And do I want to know? It's kind of scary. Is the volume good now, you guys? I know that I overcompensated a little bit on my volume. So yeah, I'm seeing these Tootsie Roll comments now. Bro, can you imagine? Like, it might not be long, but at least it's not thick. That was the first thing that popped into my head, bro. That was the first thing that popped into my head. Are we good on volume, everybody? Volume good. Yes. Thank you so much. I love you, beautiful creatures, man. You guys are my crew. You guys are my family. I love you so much. Thank you for letting me know. Hard R, roofing shingle, smart farm. Close enough, bro. Close enough. They won't let me say, grapes on here. It's crazy.
In our careers, she just simply put at his feet a level of control, abuse, rape, physical, emotional violence that paints him out to be a true monster. And we haven't even talked about the videotape.
That's right. And that was a real centerpiece of her testimony. She discussed.
Hold on. Somebody just let me know what ABDL stands for. God damn it, bro. Adult baby diaper lover.
Nope.
Fucking wood chipper. Fucking wood chipper, homie. Fucking wood chipper. I don't give a fuck. Fucking wood chipper. I actually ran into a bad situation recently. I associated with somebody that I didn't know had a past of making that type of content. And the second that it was pointed out to me, I took down that video fast as fuck, boy. It was doing very well, and it was about a subject that I felt passionately needed to be exposed, but there was no way that I wanted to be associated with somebody who had made adult content wearing a fucking diaper, dog. That's just a big no to me. So I took that shit down, and man, that shit freaked me all the way out. Somebody told me to look up this username. I look up the damn username. I immediately see that shit, feel sick to my stomach, and I'm like, that video's down. Fuck that video forever. Lincoln Noogle von Doofenfucker. Syrup covered Diddy with broken everything versus the biggest army ants ever. Bro, hey, them fire ants out in Florida, bro. Douse somebody in something sweet and let them fire ants get them. Yeah, that's gnarly, dog. Love you, bro. And by the way, your name, you already know. Austin Strode, what's up, my dude? JD, hope y'all are doing good. All the love, man. All the love right back to you, homie. I deeply appreciate you. Thank you guys so much. Fire ants hurt. Yeah, fire ants are a whole bitch, bro. Ain't nobody got time for them fire ants. That's why if you're in Florida, and I'm sure other place, Georgia. Oh, Ligma Johnson says, Georgia fire ants are worse. Ginger ants. Oh no.
An incident on a plane flight.
Yes.
During this flight, she says she was sitting next to Diddy at some point, and he took out an iPad and showed her on his iPad videos of past freak offs. And in her mind,
and these videos, sorry, just to interrupt, these videos all featured her having sex with other men and doing all sorts of sort of
degrading
acts. Yeah.
Yes. And she at this point had already said that she was trying to communicate that she didn't want to do freak offs anymore.
So she was telling him that she didn't want to do these crazy freak offs and let's just recap some of the stuff that happened in these freak offs. He would be sitting in the corner tugging his Tootsie Roll while she was doing stuff with male prostitutes that they hired. And to the extent of even peeing in her mouth. She said that one time she got on the stand and said that one time Diddy and a male prostitute both peed in her mouth at the same time, and that she was choking on all of the pee. Kind of sounds like drowning almost in pee. Am I vaping? No, I quit, bro. Do you see any vape? What are you talking about, bro? I quit. I'm not a vapist. I'm not a convicted vapist. I quit vaping. It's been like 14 days or something, bro. I'm still a little edgy. I'm not going to lie. And I got 3 new tattoos done yesterday. Well, I got tattoo work on 3 different tattoos that needed to be finished up yesterday. And I'm going to tell you this, that was the first time that I had a trigger in a hot minute. Ligma Johnson said 210 on the Diddy scale, and we all know it. So yeah, so that's one thing that happened. A lot of other really raunchy stuff happened. So he has video of her and she wants to stop. And he says, I'll release the videos. That's sextortion right there, my guy. That's all the way. So they're trying to hit him with coercion. Sextortion is definitely coercion. That's definitely coercive behavior, dog. That's forcing her to do shit that she didn't want to do sexually by threatening to release videos of prior sexual acts. Dominar said, JD, your catchphrase is wood chipper. Is Jax going to have a catchphrase like, say, Beanie Babies assemble? Yo, I think Jax, I'm going to let Jax come up with her own. Jax has catchphrases out the wazoo, bro, because she says crazy stuff all the time. One of my favorite things that she says is anytime I walk in the room, she'll be like, hello and welcome. But she has a lot of her own stuff that she does. I would never assume to pin a catchphrase on her. And yes, the blunt hex, revenge porn is very, very illegal. Very illegal. Revenge porn is 100% against the law. So there was a lot of ways. There was physical violence that he used to coerce her. There was sextortion. There was financial coercion. There was a lot that happened with her that kept her stuck where she was for so long.
She had said to Diddy at some point, delete the videos. And him showing her that videos existed on his iPad, she interpreted it as a threat to release those videos, to subsequently send those out into the world, humiliate her, destroy her career, embarrass her to her family, and so forth. She says after that plane flight they got off, they went to dinner in New York. And during that dinner, Diddy said, I would like to do a freak off. Cassie, and the language she used was she felt trapped at this point. And the way prosecutors are trying to set this up is that he trapped her by the implicit threat that if she didn't continue in this lifestyle with him, which included freak offs, he would embarrass her by releasing these tapes.
Boom. And if the jury is convinced of that, that's all that they need. If the jury believes the 9-month pregnant woman that's sitting there crying on the stand talking about this, if they believe that, that's all that they need. And he will get hit with at least one of the charges. And if they hit him with one, it's more than likely that they'll get him with the racketeering as well. And the racketeering, that's a life sentence in the feds, my guy. Enjoy that. Mobstopper said, can we have wood chipper air fresheners? I love that idea. So shaped like a wood chipper, but what is the scent? Because we don't want it to be a chomo chowder scented wood chipper. We don't want anything chomo scented. What would the scent be? America and testosterone? Give me some ideas on what scent a wood chipper air freshener should be. Jose R. Garcia Santana, my brother, what's up, man? God bless you, big brother. God bless you too. Real quick before I go to bed, to God be the glory always. Amen and hallelujah, bro. Rest easy, man. You're loved here. Thumac said, congratulations on kicking the vape shit, brother. Glad to catch you live finally. Keep on keeping on with the good-ass work you're doing out here. Hey, thank you so much, and I'm so glad you made it to a live because lives are my favorite part. This is where you get to know me a little more. I get to know you a little more. We all get to kick it, bro. I love it. So here's some of the ideas for scents. I've seen multiple people say cedar, and I like that because cedar is a great scent. I did woodworking for a long time, you guys, just so you know, And I love the scents of different woods. The scent of Home Depot, Allison Nunley, the scent of Home Depot in the morning is incredible. I used to have to get up early and go to Home Depot to get supplies for the workday, and I love that smell. Crusty Shackelford, 2-stroke exhaust. I love it. Fresh pine is good. Copper metallic, Andrew Smith. Ugh, sorry. The taste of copper is triggering to me because I licked a stripper pole once. Tasted like licking a handful of pennies. I don't know how we'd make copper metallic a scent, though. Gotten a lot of pine, freedom, hell yeah, teak wood. A lot of this is woods, and I like it. I think it's good. Bone Crush. I don't know how we scent Bone Crush. Oak, another one. Bonfire scent. Oh, I miss that, bro. I miss that. Cherry pine. Yeah, we got sandalwood. Bacon. Oh, bro, anything that smells like bacon is dope in my book, bro. I love the bacon. John Corson. Keep doing your great work, JD. Hey, I love you, brother. Thank you so much. Means a lot to me. Scent justice and good old American air. Redwood. Yep. So I'm thinking, God, Jameson's. The smell of Jameson's will make me quiver these days. That used to be my favorite shit, bro. I drank so much of it. Backwoods Templar said, got a question, JD. If bad things are going to happen, would you rather it happen in spurts or all at once? Because it's happening to me right now all at once. I am going to answer that, my man. I truly would rather have it happen all at once and get it the fuck out the way, bro. Because I want peace in my life. So if I can handle everything at once and then get back to having peace and you know, calm in my life. I used to mistake peace for boredom. These days, I know the difference. I'm never bored, but I like having a peaceful life.
That's what the prosecutors
Now,
are trying to establish.
Defense is going to say, well, she never specifically tied it up and said that, but for the, that unless you do more freak offs, I'm going to release the tapes. I don't think that was quite the testimony.
That's
but
right.
Nevertheless, you're creating this entire atmosphere that he was so physically abusive with her. And showed her these
Had
tapes.
such a psychological hold on her at this point.
And with these tapes, she would say, "I want you to delete that." He would say, "Yeah, I deleted them all, clean. I don't have my iCloud on. That's clean as well." And then 2 weeks later, she would do something that would upset him, and he'd say, "Do it again." And here's the video, and she wouldn't have deleted it. He lied.
Have you guys ever made tapes of you doing adult consensuals with other people? I have in the past, and every time I would break up with somebody, that shit's deleted right off rip, bro. Right off rip. That shit's gone because it feels creepy as fuck to me to have something like that. If somebody sends me pictures of themselves and they're not fully clothed, if we don't fuck with each other no more, that shit gets deleted. I'll delete that shit quick as fuck, bro, because it feels weird to me to have it. I feel like it's weirdo shit to keep images or videos of somebody that you don't fuck with no more. Because why? Because what you doing? Because why? Yes, and then they sold it for drugs and then called me and thanked me. Allison Nunnally, I am so sorry. That is scumbag shit. I am so sorry, sis. That's terrible. Holy crap. Once with the second husband, made sure I grabbed the tape. Smart. I just want to encourage anybody out there. If you do that, there's nothing wrong with that with consenting adults. But if you stop fucking with that person, man, just be cool, be adult, be mature, be respectful, get rid of it. Tesla Vision, love the channel. Love you, homie. This is so much more than a channel. This is all of our community, homie, and I love you.
Lied to her, saying, according to Cassie, lied to her, saying he deleted him when he in fact hadn't.
Yeah, and to your point, part of Diddy's strategy here is going to be that, yes, there was violence in our relationship. He can't get around that 2016 video in the Intercontinental Hotel. So part of his strategy seems to be, yes, we had fights. I do have a temper. It gets the best of me, but these fights weren't about keeping her in the sexual hold of these freak-offs. What they were about was, in the Intercontinental, we had an argument about a cell phone, and that was just a dispute that was unrelated to us continuing in these freak offs. I never held her against her will for these freak offs. When I said, here are these videos, I was upset about her taking drugs from me. And this was a fight that
dating somebody else.
dating someone else. I was a very jealous person, but none of it had to do with forcing her into continuing to participate in freak offs. So there seemed to be sort of trying to puncture holes in each of these episodes as unrelated to him sex trafficking her.
So that's exactly what their defense is going to be. And they already laid that out in their opening statements that, yeah, Diddy's a bad person and he beats women. And we're not arguing that he's a bad person who beats women, but there's always a but after they admit something in court like that. But Diddy also, isn't a sex trafficker. And Cassie was like abusive too. Like, bro, we saw her get mollywopped, homie. What is that girl going to do against that dude? We saw what their dynamic was. She got fucking mollywopped, dog. Like, there's no way you're going to be able to convince me that she was being like in any way threateningly violent with that dude after watching her get beat on that hard, bro. I just won't believe it. I'm sorry. You lost credibility. Anthony Cavazos said I would not film any acts because they can use for blackmail. And that's 100% smart. That's facts, bro. And we live in a different time than, in the 90s or the early 2000s when, shit was on a VHS tape and it was hard to distribute this shit. The threat is real now. If you've got it on your phone, you could send it out to hundreds of thousands of people with the press of one button, dog. One button. Anthony said I had someone tease me because I'm 26 and still a virgin. Anything wrong with that? For me, it's just a choice I made. I don't see anything wrong with that, bro. If you can have Bonnie Blue out here fucking 1,000 dudes in a day and everybody's cool with it, I think it's a lot more admirable to not be out there swapping every STD on the planet, don't you? Bro, I mean, for real, dead ass. That takes a lot more restraint and discipline than to be out there just throwing dick at every person you see, The Nickinator, you're scum if your defense is, at least I'm not Diddy. Facts, dog, facts. Freelancer said, hi from Bonneville, Alberta. Home to Alberta Killscavator. Dude, that shit was so fucking lit, dog. I love that Killscavator. Cobb Shop is 5 minutes from my house. Brown was a 56-year-old old hoe operator. I don't know if they can run excavators, but I do know some old hoe operators. Zing! Dad joke, bitch. What now? Ooh. All right. Sorry. That was terrible. That was a bad joke. I'm a bad person for that, but at least I'm not Diddy.
Good luck with that.
Good luck. It's also not how many humans communicate. You don't really say, I will do X if you don't do Y. Only in movies do you see it so cleanly laid out. A lot of times people just know what a threat is. You know it when you see it. You'd be like, it'd be a pity if these videos got out, wouldn't it? That's a threat too.
So she testified over and over again that as part of the freak offs, he would physically abuse her, left her with black eyes. When he was upset with her outside of the freak offs, he would physically abuse her, beat her. One day, excuse me, she said she wasn't going to go.
Look how pregnant she is in the sketch, dog. Like, bro, look at that belly just from the sketch. And if you saw the pictures of her, it's not an exaggeration. And she's crying. She's rubbing tissues on her eyes, bro. I guarantee you that's how it really went, too. That's what a jury is seeing right now. A woman crying on the stand, 9 months pregnant, talking about how she barely lived through the abuse of Diddy. He's done, bro. He's cooked. I think a lot of people are still on the fence about this. And look, of course, tomorrow, the defense team is going to try everything they can to tear her to pieces. I don't think it's going to fly, bro. They have a majority male jury. And I think the dudes are going to be like, what a fucking piece of shit. Are there any dudes in the chat right now that could watch a pregnant woman cry about how bad she got beaten up and forced into weird shit like having dudes piss in her mouth and she was in fear for her life and he kept giving her drugs over and over again and all of that? Could you look at a dude and be like, you know what? He's probably innocent. Dudes are going to believe the chick a lot more than other chicks would, I think. Jordan, what's up with you, man? So good to see you. Love you, homeboy. Thank you so much. Cosmo said, let me get a wood chipper. That's how I feel about Diddy right now. I think, okay, so the guys in the chat have responded. Not me. Hell nah. But they're mostly New Yorkers. Nope, not at all. Hell no. Exactly, JD. That guy's guilty. Nope. Yeah, because you always look good attacking a pregnant woman on the stand. Appleman, that's a big fact. The defense can't go too hard on her because she's pregnant. That's why they wanted to delay this after requesting a fast and speedy trial. I don't think they did enough homework to know when they requested that fast and speedy trial that she was pregnant and that she was going to be this pregnant when the trial started. They screwed themselves, homie. They screwed themselves. Fighter said, no white knight, but I wouldn't handle that well. Facts, bro. Facts. Calvert Taylor said, I could not. She's a saint now. Chase, bro, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy, dude. It's crazy. Chaos Kitten, sorry, I know this is off topic. I rarely get to catch a live. Our incoming rainbow baby is a girl, and we're seriously considering naming them Ivy Jacks. Chaos Kitten, that's such a beautiful name. That is such a beautiful name. We love that. I can't wait to go downstairs and tell Jax that. That's such a beautiful name. Brandon, yeah, I try to avoid the East Coast. I feel that, my guy. I feel that. You know what, though? I really do be liking that Florida. Babe, Chaos Kitten said that they're thinking of naming their baby Ivy Jax.
Oh, I'm going to cry.
Jax is going to cry like happy good Jax tears.
That's so sweet. That's such a beautiful name. I love the name Ivy. Congratulations on your baby.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. TBJ Reptiles, thank you so much, family. The Nickinator said, I hope that baby will be born healthy after the mother gives her stressful testimony. Stress from a mother can cause so many problems for newborns. So literally, a child's whole entire identity is formed in utero for the most part, you know, as far as the nature part comes along. So yeah, this is a really good point. She's definitely going through it right now. And that could definitely be passed to the baby. So big prayers up for the baby, man, of Cassie's baby. Anthony Cavazos, curious question. How would she even feel about giving birth to this child? Would that be a happy day for her, or would it be bittersweet moment because of how she got pregnant if Diddy did it? Diddy is not the father. She's been away from him for a while, and she is married. In fact, they had to remove her husband from the courtroom today because it got to a point where I believe they're going to be dragging him up on stage as the stand as well. So they didn't want him hearing Cassie's testimony at a certain point because they don't want the defense to be able to say, well, his testimony was affected by her testimony, but he was in there for a good long part of it. And apparently he's supposed to be a really good dude. And I'm so happy for her because a lot of the time when a woman goes through or a man goes through abuse like this, they end up finding someone else who is also kind of mimics or mirrors that type of abuse. And it's a really sad cycle that people get stuck in because that's what they interpret as love after a scenario like this. Trauma does fucked up shit to people, y'all.
Go to a party. He then shows up at the party and she showed up as well. He caught her there basically. And she knew right away she was going to get beaten. So she ran. Later that night, he comes to the hotel, breaks in the door, beats the hell out of her. He just, this pattern of unbelievable, not just the physical abuse, the psychological abuse that he was perpetrating on her was something.
Now, I want to get into something that was also part of this testimony that will be interesting.
Now, Anthony, she was not pregnant at the time. She's been away from Diddy for a while and got pregnant from her new husband. So she was not pregnant at the time when Diddy was doing this. But, you know, honestly, I mean, it's a lot worse to fuck up a pregnant woman. I'm going to say that, you know, that Triple Ascension, I used to listen to some of his music until somebody was like, hey, have you looked at what he went to prison for? And I was like, no, dude, was it some chomo shit? No, he beat the ever-loving dog shit out of his pregnant girlfriend. And I was like, wait, what? I can't fuck with that dude. I haven't listened to a single song by him since. But, you know, beating up a woman in any context like that is foul.
To see how it plays out. This is the end of their relationship, Jason. What did she testify as to the last time they had 2 years after the hotel incident in 2018?
Yep.
What happened there?
So 2 years after the relationship, she has started to date another man. They've gone their separate ways.
Who she's now married to.
Who she's eventually, this man becomes her husband. They go out to dinner. Diddy and Cassie go out to dinner, just the two of them at a public Malibu restaurant. She says it was a closing conversation. That's the way she described it. That's what she thought it was going to be. He drives her back to her house to drop her off. He then gets out of his car, follows into her house, and she says rapes her on the floor of her house. Incredibly damning testimony once again.
Very upsetting, although he is not in this federal prosecution being charged with rape.
That would be a state court crime.
Right.
And you know, that's 7 years ago. I'm not saying it's outside of the statute of limitations, but you need evidence. There's no evidence for that beyond her testimony. And that's a hard thing to base a rape case on. And then again, that would be a state court prosecution. But then something else happens where she says the defense asks, did you ever see him again? And did you ever have sex with him again? And she said, yes, I had sex with him one more time and it was voluntary.
Right.
Now, again, this goes back to Derek
testimony.
and I.
Now, that's one thing that's going to be kind of, it could go one of two ways, man, because he raped her and she's saying that he raped her on the floor, but then she went back and had consensual sex with him again. Now, you can have consensual sex with somebody who's assaulted you in the past, but it kind of looks bad as far as your credibility. And I'm sure that that's going to come up with the defense team tomorrow. They're going to be like, well, if he was such a monster, why'd you go back and get your cheeks clapped consensually again? They're going to bring that up. I guarantee you they're going to bring that up. Reseller road trip adventures. That is actually common. It is. But it's something that the trauma bonding is real, just a spade, facts. But here's the thing, is it looks bad in court. It's hard to make a jury wrap their mind around that. Trauma bonded. You guys are so trauma informed, and I fuck with that so heavily. Absolutely. But, you know, getting the jury on that is going to be a little bit different. Yo, we got 1,200 people in here on a random ass night, on a random ass stream I wasn't planning on doing. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for being here. You guys are literally the best. If anybody wants to hit that like button, I promise it's free and it'll add an extra year to your life and an inch to your Johnson.
Calling balls and strikes here. The defense is going to run with this testimony. That she says all along that she didn't want to be with him, that he's this monster, that she objected to the freak offs, that he violently rapes her in 2018, but she goes back again and has consensual sex with him.
Now, there are explanations. People can be in the psychological throes even years later. Someone can trigger you and make you feel in fear, but his lawyers are going to have a field day with this because
exactly what I was saying before they said it. Exactly. But you guys get it. You guys get how trauma can affect people.
Because at this point in her life, it seemed as though she had overcome those enough to escape, start dating seriously another man, Alex Fine, who became her husband, and nevertheless subsequently had consensual voluntary sex with Diddy. It sort of breaks the chain of the psychological abuse that she was in earlier. I'm not saying that she couldn't have been triggered and that Diddy, just the sight of him, could have caused her to feel fear. That can certainly be true. It's true of many battered women, but it will be a more difficult thing for her to explain once Diddy's lawyers have a chance to talk about that.
I have to.
Matt Jeffrey, thank you so much, homie. I appreciate you. Big love and respect. Thank you. Truth hurts. I got shorted. Where's my inch? It's a grower, not a shower. It'll be there. I mean, unless you're bricked right now, you wouldn't be able to tell, but it'll show up, bro. You definitely get an extra inch if you hit the like button. I can hit the like button 6 times so I can have a total of 7.5 inches, Papa Girth. It's even funnier because of your name, Papa Girth. I've said your name twice now, and it made me feel dirty on the inside both times. Well played, sir.
Tell you, before I had heard that testimony, it was a lot of commentators online talking about it's hard to see where the defense goes with this line of questioning. You have to find such narrow windows for them to strike because her testimony, and everybody in the courtroom, we're not in the courtroom, we're just reading the transcripts or the trial testimony. Everybody in the courtroom says that she was the most compelling witness there could have possibly been. She seemed authentic, truthful, honest, composed, had emotion when emotion would have been, anybody would have had emotion, but otherwise was terrific. This piece of testimony at the end, I think, was a bit of a gift to the defense because, again, to your point, it definitely does not mean that he did not do all these horrible things to her, but it gives the defense something to point out to that lone juror, that one juror who's looking for a reason not to prosecute. Here might be that little
She
tether.
left the door open ajar a
Yeah.
bit, is how I think of it. I mean, she is basically.
See, and this is one of those situations where I think that they're being not so objective. They're playing the devil's advocate, and I get that. But I think they might be reading too strongly into that. The fact that Cassie Peters said her inch was instant with the name Cassie Peters is one of the best things ever. Yo, Irish Bomb Squad, what's up? Standard Irish issue. I got the standard Irish issue on my nipples. They grew out on my chest. It's weird. For those of you who don't know, I have a mutant superpower. I have extra long, weird nipples. So, yeah, that's where my inch went.
Had a great 2 days of testimony from the prosecution's standpoint. I do think it's quite effective. There's sort of gestalt to it all, right? Even if you believe that Diddy is able to poke holes in individual parts of this,
Such a good
the
point.
sum of
Yep.
her testimony and how it lands on jurors, I think, is going to be very, very hard for Diddy to overcome.
We lawyers get caught up in the picayune matters of what is the true definition of consent? What is the true definition of coercion? And the jury will certainly be asked to find those picayune distinctions. But in general, what they have here is more than enough evidence to convict. And if they hate him enough, they can do it. They can hang their hat on the legalities of it all. The defense wants to make it impossible for them to do that, but it's going to be very, very difficult. So what you have here, to your point about gestalt, about atmosphere, about this horror, Cassie's testimony has described an unmitigating monster. And there's no
hard to shake that sense.
It's going to be hard to shake that sense unless they can really get after her on cross. It seems hard to know how.
But if they go too hard on her on cross, if the defense tries to bust her down too hard on cross, that's only going to make the jury sympathize with her more. This is a very pregnant woman. If they hit her hard on cross and she starts crying during her cross-examination, that it'll do irreparable damage to their case. I think they know they have to use baby gloves, bro. God, it's so dirty saying that. Baby gloves on a Diddy. Ugh! I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. Dave said, is a 315 bench press in prison impressive, and will it keep most of the drama at bay? Are prison strength standards much higher than regular gyms? Dave, a 315 bench press anywhere is impressive, my friend. You know what I'm saying? 315 in gyms full of muscle-bound meatheads on steroids is still an impressive bench press. Don't ever let anybody tell you that is not a solid bench, bro. But just strength standards, people don't care that much about that in prison. And the reality is that most prisons in the U.S. no longer have weights in them because inmates fuck that up. Inmates, every single thing that inmates have lost in prison that was a privilege that they used to have, that is not there anymore. They don't have it anymore strictly because some inmate fucked it up. Fighting on the weight pile, using weights to crush other inmates' heads, that type of shit, bro. And that's the real shit right there. Most places don't have weights anymore because some asshole abused the privilege and got it taken away. Anthony Gavasso said, I really want to know, why do a lot of abused victims end up going back to their abusers? Help me understand that, please. In my mind, it's like jumping back into the fire. I'm trying to understand. Well, here's the thing is, I can't speak to that from personal experience very well. And I see you saying that you've seen a lot of people give you good advice on that. But here's the thing is that, you mentally become a hostage and you trauma bond to that person, because abusers aren't abusers all the time. They'll do horrible, brutal abuse to you. And then they're going to hit you with really sweet, passionate, loving kindness. And it gives you whiplash, emotional whiplash, homie. You know what I'm saying? And it's Stockholm syndrome is a real life thing. It's a real life thing.
They would do that. at
Yeah,
this point.
I'm curious to see. He's got very skilled lawyers. Cross does start to feel differently. If it's very effective, you can start to question people's credibility and so forth. As we've said, the last 2 days of testimony have not been softballs. It's been very emotional for her, but she has been allowed to lay out her narrative. That's what prosecutors do. They set up questions and let you talk. When you're crossed, it's a very different situation on the stand.
I just wanted to give one more quote and then we can get to your questions. When asked by the prosecution why she stayed with him, she said, and there's a quote, "I feared for my career. I feared for my family. It's horrible. It's disgusting. No one should do that to anyone." I just thought that was incredible.
Anthony, did you hear that? I think that should help answer your question, buddy. At least with Cassie, maybe not with relationships in general, but with Cassie, there was so much at play. Diddy had so much of her life wrapped up that, her professional life, her financial life, her social life, the threats, bro, of, possibly releasing these horrific freak off tapes, man. Cassie had it bad with this dude. Red Brovo, 25B. What's up, homie? How can I send money to the vet who had 4 dogs? Wait for him at the ER. I'm a vet myself and I'm blessed with my own squad. How can I help? I don't have that GoFundMe offhand, and I think that they closed the GoFundMe, my friend. I think they closed it because I think that it got paid, bro. I think that he made what he needed to and closed up the GoFundMe. And I don't have contact information for him anymore. But thank you so much for having that heart. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your sacrifice. You're an incredible dude, and I love you, bro.
Really powerful.
It's been an incredibly powerful 2 days of testimony. Let's get to some questions. So Savannah asks, why is everyone focusing on Cassie's ability to leave? The hiring of escorts is already enough to elicit the sex trafficking charges.
100% correct. There are
Great
3
point.
charges here, one of which is the bringing across state lines.
Yep.
And the reason state lines is important here, it's a federal crime. It would be a state crime if it was just within. If you go ahead and pick up a prostitute on a street corner, pay them, that's a state crime. If you bring them across state lines for the purpose of sex, that's a federal crime. It's going to be very easy to prove that crime.
That is one of the counts. Transportation to engage in prostitution.
And they have the text messages. They have, receipts from credit cards and shit for that. He is definitely cooked on that. Now, will that be enough to trigger the RICO and show a pattern of organized crime behavior? Because he involved other people in it. Most RICOs have more than one person who's being charged. I do know that Larry Lawton caught a single person RICO charge. And that's kind of what Diddy's facing right now. Basically, what they're trying to prove here is that Diddy had an organized crime ring, but that some of these other people, they may have participated, but they were also victims like Cassie, because he'd have Cassie go and get these male prostitutes. He'd have Cassie pay the male prostitutes to insulate him from getting in trouble. But now that Cassie's come out with it, it's all bad, bro. It's all bad for him. Super Korean said Shine should have told the truth instead of taking the fall. And he's referring to that shooting in the club with J-Lo, Diddy, and Shine, where it's believed that Diddy shot a woman and Shine ended up going to prison for it and taking the fall. Can you imagine how many people would not have been victimized if Diddy would have gotten thrown in prison for a while for that shooting? Could have stopped a lot of the nonsense, homie. Hey, Dr. Dre Light, I want to give you another shout out for being the lone mod in here. Just swinging left and right, my dude. Thank you so much, bro. I love you. You are such a rock star, big dog. I appreciate you, and I hope that you're feeling a lot better, man. Big love to you, bro.
It's the easiest count that they have.
It also probably doesn't come with much jail time. If any.
Exactly.
Right.
It's the least important of the charges they have to. You just have to say you crossed state lines, you knowingly hired escorts for the purposes of sex.
I don't even think
that's enough.
Diddy's going to even put up a defense to that one crime.
That doesn't put you in jail, in prison for life.
It really does. He's already served. What has he served? He's been in jail for what, prison for what, 9 months, 6 to 9 months now. He's been serving.
That's the type of offense
that's
that could
time
be
served.
served.
That's time
Yes.
served. In order to get the kind of up to life in prison, they'll never get that no matter what. But the decade or two in prison, what they really need is to get into the sex trafficking charges,
by force, fraud, or coercion. That's why they're focusing on Cassie, because when you hire a prostitute, you don't have to do so by force, fraud, or coercion. They're doing it
for money,
transactionally,
That's
for money,
which is a different crime.
But for Cassie, she's key to the sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion.
And the
That's
issue
why
here is by coercion, right? They coerced her into this sex trafficking operation. And then the other element of it, did he do it with other people? They're laying the groundwork with the various employees. But again, very good question, Savannah. But the answer is that's just one tiny bit of a crime. That's really a time.
If they only get that conviction.
So it seems like it's probably not something that can trigger the RICO unless these guys are missing something. Hey, Derek Dillon, welcome, man. Love having you here, brother. Welcome to the live. Welcome to the community. Your family now. Appreciate you being here, homie. Big love and respect to you.
The court asked Cassie to remain seated so the jurors didn't know she was pregnant. It wasn't the court who did that. That was the defense counsel asked that when the jurors are marched in and put in the jury box, that the witness Cassie would already be seated, so they wouldn't necessarily be able to focus on the fact she's pregnant.
I think that's a fair give.
The court overruled that though. And the court said, no, I'm sorry. She's going to walk in like any other witness does. And so she did, in fact, walk into court in front of the juror.
But I thought it was a good move of Diddy's attorneys to say, look, she can testify, but she can't stand up and look angelic with her pregnant belly. That might be prejudicial to my client. That's why they made the ask, and the judge ruled as they did. And it's a fair ruling as well. But I thought it was a cagey move by them.
Yeah, that they're terrified of that pregnant woman. Let me just tell you right now, they're terrified of the effect of that pregnant woman, bro, walking into court, looking how she looking, bro. They're scared shitless of that. And now what are they going to do? Now, how do they, because I cannot stress to you enough how careful they have to be not to bully her in court tomorrow. We're going to see how they handle it tomorrow, but it's crazy, man. 3117 Wayne, as a father to a daughter, I say pass punks like Diddy over to the victim's father. Keep shining, JD. Awesome to have a real one giving us a platform. I love you, bro. And I've always said that, in the history books of how this country used to work when we were more community oriented. We don't have big community oriented communities anymore, but it used to be like that. Like if somebody hurt a girl, the family would go out with a mob of dads and brothers from the community, and they would go do whatever they needed to do. Whether that would be, stringing somebody up, beating the shit out of them. And there's still probably some smaller communities that are still tight-knit where that happens and they just don't talk about it. But, it used to be that way. Now we're at a place in our country where if something bad happens, they want you to call a stranger. And if you don't be calling a stranger, you could go to prison for it, which sucks. It's super weird. Diana White, speaking of those, I have innies. Ever heard of those? They won't get hard or stick out. Opposite of yours. Hey, you know what? Differently abled nipple crew. That's, you know what? I have seen one of those before, and it is a real thing. But, everybody's perfect the way that they are, man. I truly believe that everybody is perfect the way that they are. And if there's things about yourself you don't like that you can change, have those goals, set them. That shit's dope. You know what I'm saying? I love setting goals, smashing them, and then setting new goals. That's why when I found out I was 274 pounds last year, I was like, I don't like that. I'm going to change it. You know what I'm saying? But I'll never change my nipples. I've had a lot of people make comments like, you could get a nipple reduction. Bitch, why? I was born this way. I cut my mama coming out when I was born. I'm going to keep these bitches till I die. I made it through middle school with these things. You think the internet can hurt me? I made it through prison with these things. Backwood said, JD, brother, I got to call it a night. You and Jax have an awesome night and a great weekend. And to everyone in the chat, piece of chicken grease. Love you, dude. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Big love and respect to you. Hope you have a great night's sleep. And we will see you on the next one.
Peace World Lord says, I don't understand how Cassie is taking the stand when her lawsuit was settled the next day after it was filed. Difference between civil and criminal cases, right?
Yes, you can settle a civil lawsuit if she is compelled to appear for a criminal prosecution by subpoena, which she is. She's a subpoenaed witness. She has to participate.
Yeah.
She has to under penalty. She can sign that agreement and have a private settlement.
And she can be cross-examined on that settlement.
And she can be cross-examined about it as well. But she can't turn down. The justice system wouldn't work.
And by the way, so we remember the Kobe Bryant case back in 2004 when he was accused of rape in Colorado. He settled with the complaining witness, the victim, and the alleged victim, settled with her. And then she, as part of that settlement, refused to cooperate. And when they tried to subpoena her, she said, you can subpoena all you want. I'm not going to give you the testimony I want. So the prosecution's case fell apart. Cassie has not done that. She has been a willing participant in this. She has gone to the prosecution and given them full statements. The questions they're asking her now, they know the answers to. They have rehearsed these with Cassie there at the prosecutor's office to get this testimony perfect. Yep. She has been a willing participant in this process.
So here's the thing is that whenever it's somebody who's rich and famous and the victim is only going after money, I always question their motives because you'd be insane not to. I'm sorry. If somebody's going after a famous person and they don't want to see him go to prison, they just want to get that bag, you'd be crazy not to, in some way, shape, or form, question the motives of that. But Cassie is not just going after the bag. She's going for the throat. And that is dope to me because honestly, if you're a victim and you're not trying to get that person put in prison, do you not care about the next person that they could hurt? Do you not give a shit about the next human being that they could victimize? That's what goes through my head. I want to see him taken off the streets every time. Red Brovo 25B said, John 8:7 states, so when they continued asking him, he lifted himself up unto them. He that is without sin amongst you cast the first stone at her. And, I think that we could all be a little more Christ-like, but when it comes down to these heinous ass criminals, we have a court system that works pretty damn good, bro. It works pretty damn good. Shades, what's up, man? It's great to see you, bro. Love you, man. Trial Junkies United said, I think she took the money as a way for him to admit that he did something wrong too. And, I think that she was already in talks with the feds. And I'm happy she got her bag. Holy shit, after the 10 years that she went through, I think she deserved that bag, homie. You know what I'm saying?
Her willing participation in the prosecution jeopardized whatever money she got from Diddy. That's an open question, but think of the optics of him suing her after this. Ugh.
Unlikely.
Very unlikely.
Emily Burton, will the prosecution bring in Diddy's former employees who Cassie is implicating? What kind of risk might they be taking in doing so? So the prosecution could call them. They, of course, have a Fifth Amendment right not to testify in
to the extent it would incriminate themselves.
To the extent that it would
criminal
incriminate
enterprise.
themselves, right? They are also not, at this point, indicted, so they have a lot of risk. They could, in fact, be indicted unless they reach a deal with prosecutors to testify against Diddy.
Oh, I imagine some of them will.
Yes.
I imagine some of them will. They have a racketeering conspiracy charge against him, and part of proving a criminal enterprise is that Diddy was the center of this enterprise and had employees doing his bidding, making the criminal enterprise. A lot of those people don't want to be prosecuted, so they're going to cooperate.
Last point, there's on this issue, there's a woman named Mia who's a former employee of Diddy's who is on the witness list. She is labeled as a victim of Diddy. She is going to testify. former employee, also victimized, also allegedly. This is apparently what she's going to testify, according to prosecutors. Testified that she witnessed Diddy being physically violent towards Cassie. She may have witnessed the freak offs. She felt for Cassie. She tried to reach out to Cassie and help her. So this is somebody who Diddy tried to coerce into sort of this RICO conspiracy case, this enterprise, this criminal enterprise. So Mia, we're probably going to see her, I don't think tomorrow, because I think Diddy's counsel's cross of Cassie's going to take it the full day. But I'm guessing by Friday, that's going to be the prosecution's next witness is going to be this woman.
And again, a lot of
So I'm really interested to see what they come up with tomorrow as far as how they're going to cross Cassie. Because like I keep stating, and I think it can't be stated enough, they have to be really careful, man. Really careful. And she's the whole case right here. She's the whole case. But if they go too hard on a pregnant woman, the jury's not going to like that. But if they don't go hard enough on her, her testimony is going to put him in prison for life. So it's going to have to be a very delicate balance. Nickinator said, Wood Chipper 2025 states, and when the predator was brought forth, the irate mob, every one of the sound mind casted the first stone. Oh, dog. The word of the wood chipper has spoken, my friend. That's lit. I love that. All right, you guys, I've kept you up super late. I love each and every one of you. I appreciate you hanging out. I'm going to be back on a live as soon as I can. Thank you. Just thank you for hanging out, man. Like I said, I had a bad day. I told you guys I would tell you a little bit about it. Back in 2013, you guys, I got myself into some trouble. I certainly did. Back in 2013, I got myself a DUI and I never cleaned it up. I never did the things that I needed to do. And I moved to the state of Florida and I got myself clean and I became, a recovery coach, a peer support recovery specialist, and a smart recovery facilitator. I worked at the place. If you were in Daytona Beach and you got a DUI, you had to come see me and take classes through me. So I need to get my driver's license back because I don't have it right now. It's suspended. So I went in and I was going into this treatment center today. I thought I was going to have a assessment and that they would look at everything that I've done in my life. And, I've done residential treatment. I've done inpatient. I've done IOP. I thought they were going to be like, yeah, you don't need treatment. And they pulled the old, well, you got to do 13 weeks. And it cost me $1,000 out of pocket today and 13 weeks of treatment. So that was a little bit of news that I got today, and it wasn't what I wanted to hear. But here's the thing, and this is the most important part for me, because my life is built on my recovery, and my recovery is built on accountability. I did the crime, and I need to do the time, whether I want the consequences or not, whether it's the consequences I think I should get or not. When you do a crime, you have no control over the consequences. All you have control over is how you handle it after that. And I'm going to walk it out like a grown-ass man. So I love you guys. Thank you for making my day better after I spent all day at a treatment center. And then I went to a class today and it cost me $1,000. And then I was having a bad night and a bad day. And I came and I hung out with you guys. And I'm going to tell you this right now. I feel so much better after hanging out with you guys. So thank you for being there for me. It means more to you guys than you'll ever, to me, that you guys are here than you'll ever know. Till the next one love, baby. Be good or be good at it. I'm out.